In the distant future, humanity had spread far beyond Earth, colonizing planets and moons across the galaxy. But Earth itself was no longer a shining jewel. It was a shadow of its former self. Centuries of overuse and neglect had left it barren and broken, a reminder of what happens when greed takes over. The people who remained on Earth lived in decaying cities, while the rest of humanity thrived among the stars. Commander Alex Carter stood on the bridge of the starship Eclipse *, staring out at the vast emptiness of space. He was a calm man with sharp eyes and a steady hand, known for his ability to make tough decisions under pressure. His crew trusted him, even though they all knew the mission ahead would be dangerous. They were heading into uncharted territory, chasing rumors of an alien threat that could destroy everything humanity had built. The mission began with a message. It came from Dr. Laura Bennett, a scientist stationed at a remote outpost near the edge of known space. Her voice was tense as she spoke through the static-filled transmission. "Commander Carter, if you're hearing this, we don't have much time," she said. "There's a fleet approaching Sol system. They call themselves the Vorthak. They're not here to talk or trade. They consume everything in their path: planets, resources, life itself." Alex listened carefully, his jaw tightening. He knew what this meant. If the Vorthak reached Earth, it wouldn't just be the end of humanity. It would be the end of every living thing on the planet. He turned to his crew, who were already preparing for the journey. Pilot Sam Rivera, a young man with quick reflexes and a knack for flying, nodded silently. Engineer Mia Lopez, whose hands were always stained with grease from fixing engines, gave him a determined look. And strategist Jake Thompson, a quiet thinker with a talent for planning battles, adjusted his glasses and began reviewing maps of the region. As the Eclipse * sped toward the coordinates Laura had provided, Alex couldn't shake the feeling that this mission was more than just another fight. It felt like a test, a chance for humanity to prove it deserved to survive. But deep down, he wondered, did they? Humanity had spent centuries destroying its own home, exploiting resources without thinking about the consequences. Was it any wonder that others might see them as unworthy? The ship passed by strange sights as it traveled deeper into space. There were planets surrounded by rings of debris, remnants of civilizations long gone. Some looked like they had been torn apart by massive weapons, while others seemed to have collapsed under their own weight. Each one told a story of failure, of species that hadn't learned how to live within their means. Laura's updates grew more urgent as they got closer. She sent data showing the size of the Vorthak fleet. Hundreds of ships, each one larger than anything humanity had ever built. Alex studied the numbers, his mind racing. How could they possibly stand against such overwhelming odds? But there was no turning back now. The fate of humanity rested on their shoulders. As the Eclipse * approached the edge of the unknown, Alex took a deep breath and reminded himself why they were doing this. For Earth, for the billions of lives depending on them. And maybe, just maybe, for a chance to show the galaxy that humanity wasn't done yet. They were ready to face whatever came next, even if it meant facing their own fears along the way. As the Eclipse * ventured deeper into uncharted space, the crew began to notice strange things. The ship's sensors picked up unusual signals, faint whispers of radio waves that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. At first, they thought it might be interference, but the signals grew stronger the farther they traveled. It wasn't long before they realized these weren't random bursts of noise. They were warnings. Commander Alex Carter called a meeting in the ship's briefing room. The small space was dimly lit, with screens displaying maps and data covering the walls. Sam Rivera sat slouched in his chair, tapping his fingers nervously on the table. Mia Lopez leaned forward, her brow furrowed as she studied the readings. Jake Thompson stood near the back, arms crossed, his expression unreadable. "These signals," Alex began, pointing to one of the screens, "they're fragments of distress calls. From different species, different times. All of them say the same thing. They're coming." He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. Whoever sent these messages didn't survive. The room fell silent. The idea that entire civilizations had been wiped out by the Vorthak was unsettling, but seeing proof of it made it real. As the Eclipse continued its journey, the crew encountered more evidence of destruction. Planets reduced to barren wastelands, moons shattered into asteroid fields. Even derelict ships floated silently in the void, their hulls scarred by massive weapons. Mia spent hours examining the wreckage of one such ship. She found traces of advanced technology, far beyond anything humanity had developed, but also signs of desperation. Whoever had built this ship had been running for their lives. It's like they knew there was no hope. She muttered to herself as she worked. Her hands trembled slightly as she recorded her findings. For the first time, she felt truly afraid. Jake, meanwhile, struggled to come up with a plan. The Vorthak fleet was enormous, and the Eclipse was just one ship. Even with Laura Bennett feeding them information from the outpost, they were outnumbered and outgunned. He pored over star charts, trying to find weaknesses in the enemy's formation. But every strategy he devised ended the same way: defeat. Tensions aboard the ship began to rise. Sam snapped at Mia during a routine maintenance check, accusing her of being too slow. Maya shot back, her frustration boiling over. Alex stepped in before things escalated, reminding them that they needed to stay focused. "We're all scared," he said calmly, "but we can't let fear divide us. We're the only ones standing between the Vorthak and Earth." Despite his words, Alex couldn't shake his own doubts. Was humanity worth saving? He thought about Earth, the polluted skies, the crumbling cities, the endless wars. Humanity had brought so much pain upon itself. What right did they have to ask others to fight for them? His thoughts were interrupted when Laura contacted the ship again. Her face appeared on the main screen, pale and tired. "I've analyzed the data you sent," she said. "There's something you need to see." She shared images of ancient ruins found on one of the destroyed planets. The carvings depicted beings similar to the Vorthak, but instead of attacking, they were building. "These ruins are thousands of years old," Laura explained. "Before they became destroyers, the Vorthak were creators." Alex stared at the images, a new question forming in his mind. What had turned the Vorthak into the monsters they were now? And could understanding their past help humanity stop them? As the Eclipse pressed on, the crew prepared for the inevitable confrontation. They drilled tirelessly, fine-tuning every system and rehearsing battle plans. But beneath their determination lay a shared fear. None of them knew what awaited them at the edge of the galaxy, or if they would return home alive. Still, they pushed forward, driven by a fragile hope. If they could uncover the truth about the Vorthak, maybe they could find a way to end the cycle of destruction. Maybe they could prove that humanity deserved a second chance, not just for themselves, but for everyone else in the galaxy who might face the same fate. The Eclipse finally encountered the Vorthak near a desolate star system, filled with drifting rocks and swirling dust clouds. The alien fleet loomed in the distance, their ships massive and jagged, like floating mountains of metal. Commander Alex Carter ordered the crew to stay cautious as they approached one of the smaller vessels, a scout ship that had strayed from the main group. "We need to capture one of them," Alex said firmly. "Alive." His voice carried both authority and urgency. They couldn't afford to fight blindly. They needed answers. Sam Rivera adjusted the controls, guiding the Eclipse closer while keeping an eye on the enemy's movements. Maya Lopes worked quickly to prepare the ship's grappling systems, her hands steady despite the tension in the air. Jake Thompson studied the scout ship through the sensors. "It's heavily armed, but slower than us," he reported. "If we move fast, we might be able to disable it without destroying it." Alex nodded, trusting Jake's judgment. He gave the order to engage. The battle was short but intense. The scout ship fired warning shots, its weapons lighting up the darkness of space. Sam maneuvered the Eclipse with incredible skill, dodging blasts while closing the distance. When they were close enough, Mia activated the grappling hooks, latching onto the alien vessel and pulling it toward them. The scout ship struggled, its engines roaring as it tried to break free, but the Eclipse held firm. Once the scout ship was secured, Alex led a small team aboard the alien craft. Armed with stun rifles and protective suits, they moved cautiously through the narrow corridors. The interior was eerie. Dark, metallic walls covered in strange symbols, and a faint hum vibrating through the floor. It felt wrong, unnatural, as if the ship itself was alive. They found their target in the control room, a towering creature encased in shimmering armor. Its body was insect-like, with multiple limbs and glowing eyes that seemed to pierce through them. The Vorthak hissed angrily as Alex and his team surrounded it, raising their weapons. Despite its size and menacing appearance, the creature didn't attack. It seemed to know resistance was futile. Back on the Eclipse, Dr. Laura Bennett joined the interrogation remotely via holographic interface. She had spent years studying alien languages and cultures, making her the best person for the job. Using a translator device, she attempted to communicate with the prisoner. At first, the Vorthak refused to respond, its glowing eyes fixed on the humans with disdain. But after hours of persistence, Laura managed to establish basic contact. Through broken sentences and fragmented phrases, the Vorthak revealed chilling truths. They called themselves the Cleansers, believing they were agents of balance in the universe. To them, civilizations that consumed too much or grew too quickly were corrupt and needed to be reset. Humanity, with its rapid expansion and environmental destruction, fit their criteria perfectly. Laura shared this information with the crew, her face pale. "They don't see us as people," she said quietly. "They see us as a disease, a threat to the galaxy's harmony." Alex clenched his fists, anger bubbling inside him. "So we're just supposed to accept that? Let them decide who lives and who dies?" Jake shook his head. "This isn't just about fighting anymore. If we can't prove our worth, no one will stand with us. The galaxy will side with them." Mia looked down at the alien prisoner, her expression thoughtful. "Maybe we need to show them we're more than what they think. That we can change." Alex considered their words. The Vorthak saw humanity as reckless and destructive. But maybe that wasn't the whole story. Maybe they could turn this around, not just for Earth, but for every species that might face the same fate. As he stared at the captured alien, he realized the battle ahead wasn't just physical, it was ideological. Humanity would have to fight not only with weapons but with ideas. For the first time, Alex felt a spark of hope. If they could make the Vorthak understand, perhaps they could stop the cycle of destruction. But convincing an ancient, unyielding race wouldn't be easy. And time was running out. Commander Alex Carter knew they couldn't face the Vorthak alone. The alien fleet was too large, their weapons too powerful. Humanity needed allies if they hoped to survive. With this in mind, Alex made a bold decision. He would send a message to every corner of the galaxy, calling for help. The transmission was simple but direct. "This is Commander Alex Carter of the starship Eclipse *," he began, his voice steady and clear. "We have encountered a grave threat, the Vorthak. They are not here to negotiate or trade. Their goal is to destroy us, to erase humanity from existence. If we fall, you will be next. We ask for your support. Together, we can stand against this danger." The message spread quickly, carried by subspace signals that reached even the most remote corners of known space. At first, there was silence. Many species ignored the plea, dismissing it as another human cry for attention. Others sent mocking replies, accusing humanity of arrogance for thinking anyone would risk their lives for them. But then, slowly, responses began to trickle in. Two factions agreed to join forces with the Eclipse. The first were the Zarni, an aquatic race with sleek, silver ships that glided through water-filled domes. Their ambassador, Kale, was cautious but curious. "Your kind has caused much harm," he said during their first meeting. "Why should we trust you now?" Alex didn't shy away from the question. "Because we've learned from our mistakes," he replied. "And because if we don't work together, none of us will survive." The second group was the Kryn, nomadic warriors who traveled in massive battered vessels. Their leader, Terran, was a fierce woman with sharp features and an even sharper tongue. She regarded Alex with suspicion. "You claim to fight for survival," she said, "but do you truly understand honor, or are you simply afraid to die?" Alex met her gaze without flinching. "Fear isn't weakness. It's what drives us to protect what matters. If that's not honor, then I don't know what is." Despite agreeing to help, mistrust lingered among the three groups. The Zarni view humans as reckless invaders, while the Kryn saw them as soft and untested. Arguments erupted frequently, often over strategy or resource allocation. Jake spent hours mediating disputes, trying to keep everyone focused on the bigger picture. Mia worked tirelessly alongside Zarni engineers, sharing knowledge and adapting technology to suit their combined fleet. Sam bonded with Kryn pilots, learning their combat techniques and earning their respect through skill and determination. Meanwhile, Laura continued studying the Vorthek. She uncovered something shocking. The invaders' homeworld had once been a thriving paradise. Thousands of years ago, another advanced civilization had attacked it, stripping it of resources and leaving it barren. This tragedy had shaped the Vorthek into what they were today, a race consumed by the belief that destruction was inevitable unless stopped preemptively. Laura shared her findings with Alex. "They're not just mindless killers," she explained. "Their actions are driven by pain and fear. If we can show them there's another way, maybe we can end this without more bloodshed." Alex considered her words carefully. It was a risky plan, but it might be their only chance. He gathered the leaders of the Alliance and proposed a daring idea. Instead of attacking the Vorthek outright, they would try to communicate with them again, not as enemies, but as equals. Ambassador Kale was skeptical. "They won't listen," he warned. "Their hatred runs too deep." Terran nodded in agreement. Words mean nothing to those who choose violence. But Alex refused to give up. "We have to try," he insisted. "If we don't, we're no better than them." As the fleet prepared for the upcoming battle, Alex couldn't shake the feeling that this conflict wasn't just about survival. It was about proving humanity's worth. If they succeeded, they wouldn't just save Earth. They would show the galaxy that change was possible. And perhaps, just perhaps, they could inspire others to break free from cycles of destruction. The stage was set. The fragile alliance moved toward the Vorthek fleet, ready to face whatever came next. The battle began at Epsilon 9, a sprawling asteroid field rich with minerals and debris. The Vorthek fleet had gathered there, using the rocky terrain as cover while they prepared for their final push toward Earth. Commander Alex Carter led the Allied fleet, human, Zarni, and Kryn ships united under one cause, into the chaotic battlefield. From the bridge of the Eclipse Asterisk, Alex watched as flashes of light erupted across the void, signaling the start of what could be humanity's last stand. Sam Rivera gripped the controls tightly, his knuckles white, as he guided the Eclipse Asterisk through the dense field of asteroids. The ship rocked violently as enemy fire struck nearby, sending shards of rock spinning into their path. "Hold steady," Alex shouted, his voice cutting through the tension. Sam nodded, his focus unwavering as he dodged incoming blasts and navigated the treacherous environment. Mia Lopes worked furiously in the engine room, her tools clanging against metal as she repaired damaged systems. The coolant pipe had burst during the initial assault, and smoke filled the air. She coughed but didn't stop, knowing that every second counted. If the reactor overheated, the entire ship would be lost. Her hands moved quickly, patching the leak and stabilizing the power flow. When the lights flickered back on, she let out a shaky breath. That should hold, she muttered to herself, though she knew it was only a temporary fix. Jake Thompson coordinated the attack from the command center, his eyes darting between screens displaying real-time data. He relayed orders to the Allied forces, directing Zarni ships to use their water-based weapons to create barriers of steam, obscuring the vortex view. Kryn vessels charged head-on, their brute force tactics drawing the enemy's attention. Meanwhile, human ships provided support, launching precise strikes to weaken the vortex defenses. Despite their efforts, the tide of the battle began to turn against them. The Vorthek fleet was overwhelming, their sheer numbers crushing the Alliance's resolve. Ship after ship fell, their wreckage drifting silently among the asteroids. Alex clenched his fists as he watched another Kryn vessel explode in a fiery blast. "We're losing," Jake said grimly, his voice heavy with frustration. "At this rate, we won't last much longer." Alex knew they needed something drastic, a game changer. He turned to Mia, who had just returned to the bridge after stabilizing the engines. "Is the disruptor ready?" he asked. Mia hesitated, her face pale. "It's operational, but activating it could overload the system. We might not survive." Alex didn't hesitate. "Do it." Mia nodded, understanding the stakes. She rushed to the console and activated the prototype device, a weapon designed to interfere with the Vortex hive mind communication network. For a moment, nothing happened. Then suddenly, the Vortex ships faltered. Their coordinated movements became erratic, their attacks less precise. The disruption was working. Seizing the opportunity, Jake ordered a full-scale counterattack. The Allied fleet regrouped, pouring everything they had into the weakened Vorthek forces. Explosions lit up the darkness as enemy ships were torn apart. The once unstoppable invaders were now scrambling, their unity shattered. But victory came at a cost. The Eclipse took heavy damage, its hull breached in multiple places. Alarms blared as oxygen levels dropped, and crew members scrambled to seal the leaks. Sam fought to keep the ship intact, his hands flying over the controls as he avoided collisions with debris. Maya raced through the corridors, welding shut exposed panels and keeping the life support systems running. Finally, the Vorthak retreated, their remaining ships fleeing deeper into space. The battlefield fell silent, save for the hum of damaged engines and the faint crackle of static over comms. Alex slumped into his chair, exhausted but relieved. They had done it. They had driven the invaders back. But as he looked around at the battered ship and weary crew, he knew this was only the beginning. The fight wasn't over, and the galaxy still saw humanity as flawed and reckless. Yet for the first time, Alex felt a glimmer of hope. They had proven they could stand together, even against impossible odds. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough to start changing how others saw them. The battle at Epsilon 9 left deep scars, not just on the ships and crew of the Eclipse but on humanity's spirit. The victory was hard-won, and the cost weighed heavily on everyone. Commander Alex Carter stood on the bridge, staring out at the wreckage floating silently in space. Pieces of destroyed ships drifted past, a grim reminder of the lives lost. Earth was safe for now, but the war wasn't over. The Vorthak had retreated, but they would return. And when they did, humanity needed to be ready. Back on Earth, the survivors began the long process of rebuilding. Cities that had already been struggling were now in ruins, their streets empty and their skies darkened by smoke. Yet, amidst the destruction, there was also resilience. People came together, sharing what little they had and working side by side to repair their homes. Alex watched this from afar, feeling a mix of pride and guilt. Humanity had proven it could endure, but he couldn't shake the question, did they deserve to? Dr. Laura Bennett joined Alex one evening as he walked along the edge of a crater left by an earlier attack. "You've been quiet," she said gently. "What's on your mind?" Alex hesitated before answering. "I keep thinking about what the Vorthak said. that were reckless, destructive. They weren't wrong. He kicked a loose rock, sending it tumbling into the pit. How do we prove them wrong? How do we show the galaxy we're worth saving? Laura thought for a moment before replying. Maybe it's not about proving anything to them, she said. Maybe it's about being honest, with ourselves and with others. We messed up. We hurt our planet, our people, and even other species. But we're trying to fix it. That's something. Her words sparked an idea in Alex's mind. What if they didn't hide their flaws? What if instead they showed the galaxy the full truth about humanity? The good, the bad, and everything in between. It was risky. Some might see it as weakness, but Alex believed it could also be their greatest strength. He called a meeting with his crew and the leaders of the Zarni and Kryn. Together, they crafted a message, a broadcast meant for every corner of the galaxy. Using footage from the battle, recordings of Earth's struggles, and personal stories from survivors, they created a powerful narrative. It showed humanity's mistakes, its pain, and its determination to change. Laura narrated the message, her voice calm but filled with emotion. We are flawed, she admitted, but we are learning. We are growing, and we will fight not just for ourselves, but for a better future, for all of us. When the message was complete, Alex sent it out into the stars. At first, the response was mixed. Some civilizations dismissed it as propaganda, while others condemned humanity for airing its failures so openly. But slowly, reactions began to shift. Species who had once seen humans as arrogant invaders started reaching out, curious about their story. Envoys arrived on Earth, eager to learn how humanity planned to rebuild, not just their planet, but their way of life. Even the Zarni and Kryn seemed to soften toward their human allies. Ambassador Kale admitted, "Your honesty, it is unexpected. Perhaps there is more to your kind than we realized." Taryn added, "If you truly mean to change, then we will stand with you." For now, as Alex watched these fragile connections form, he felt a sense of hope he hadn't known in years. Humanity still had a long road ahead, and the threat of the Vorthak loomed large. But for the first time, they weren't alone. They had allies, tentative though those alliances might be, and a chance to rewrite their place in the galaxy. Alex turned to his crew, his expression resolute. "This isn't the end," he said. "It's just the beginning." Months passed after the battle at Epsilon 9, and humanity began to rebuild not just their cities, but their reputation. The message sent by Commander Alex Carter and his crew had traveled across the galaxy, reaching civilizations that had never heard of Earth before. Some reacted with anger, accusing humanity of arrogance for thinking anyone cared about their struggles. Others remained skeptical, unsure if this newfound honesty was genuine or a tactic to gain allies. But many were moved. For the first time, they saw humans as more than reckless invaders. They saw them as flawed, vulnerable, and determined to change. On Earth, life slowly returned to normal. Craters left by alien weapons were filled in, and new buildings rose from the ashes of old ones. People worked together, sharing resources and ideas. The scars of war still lingered, but so did hope. Across the planet, communities gathered to watch broadcasts from other worlds, updates on how humanity's message was being received. Each positive response brought cheers, while criticisms sparked debates about what more could be done to prove their worth. Alex stood on a hill overlooking one such gathering. Fires burned brightly below, casting flickering light on faces young and old. He felt a sense of pride mixed with responsibility. Humanity had been given a second chance, not because they were perfect, but because they refused to give up. Beside him, Laura Bennett smiled softly. "It's working," she said. "Not perfectly, but it's a start." Sam Rivera joined them, carrying 2 cups of hot tea. He handed one to Alex and took a sip from the other. "Do you think it'll be enough?" he asked. "Enough to stop the Vorthak from coming back?" Alex shook his head. "I don't know, but I do know we've changed something. Before, we were alone. Now we've got people watching, listening, even helping. That counts for something. Mia Lopes approached, her hands covered in grease from another long day of repairs. She wiped them on a cloth before speaking. "We're stronger now," she said. "Not just us. The whole galaxy. If the Vorthek come back, they won't find us divided anymore." Jake Thompson nodded in agreement. "And maybe next time, we won't have to fight alone." As the days turned into weeks, envoys from distant worlds continued arriving on Earth. They came to learn, to observe, and sometimes to argue. But each visit brought new understanding. The Zarni shared technology that helped clean polluted oceans, while the Kryn taught humans advanced combat techniques. In return, humanity offered its creativity, its adaptability, and its willingness to grow. Slowly, trust began to form where there had once been only suspicion. One evening, Halleck stood on the bridge of the Eclipse Asterisk, gazing out at the stars. The ship was quiet now, its crew resting after months of relentless work. He thought about everything they'd been through, the battles, the losses, the moments of doubt. And yet, here they were, still standing, still fighting, not just for survival, but for a better future. Laura appeared beside him, holding a small device. "The last of the messages is ready to send," she said. It was a final update, a promise to keep striving, to keep learning, and to never forget the lessons of the past. Alex pressed the button without hesitation. As the signal shot into space, he felt a strange sense of peace. Humanity wasn't perfect. They probably never would be. But they had proven something important, that even in the face of overwhelming odds, they could rise above their flaws. That they could unite, adapt, and inspire others to do the same. Far away, among the stars, the words echoed. Humanity's final warning to the galaxy: face our fury. It wasn't a threat. It was a declaration, a testament to a species that refused to give up, no matter how dark things seemed. As the camera panned out, showing Earth glowing faintly against the vastness of space, the galaxy watched and waited to see what humanity would do next.